Hi, I'm Scott Morris, and this is another one of the video tutorials to go along with my book, Classical Guitar Complete Volume 1 and Volume 2. And today, what I would like to talk about are the famous or infamous Giuliani arpeggios, the 120 right-hand arpeggios, Opus 1. And I'm not going to go through all 120, but I am going to go through some techniques that you can apply to as many of them as you choose to get into. And the first thing I'd like to do is just kind of talk about the importance of this particular set of arpeggios. And Giuliani's not the only one. I've mentioned Moretti in another video, and of course there are others out there as well, some more contemporary. But the Giuliani 120 are really kind of a staple of classical guitar technique because they do cover so many of the things that we have to do when we're playing a lot of the guitar repertoire. Not just the music, obviously, of Giuliani or the early 19th century, but in general. So there's a reason why people talk about them as much as they do. I'd also like to use this opportunity to talk about some of the ways the right hand works in some much more specific ways than I have in past videos. And I'd like to start this by just playing the very first Giuliani here. So this is number 1. Okay, so it may seem like there's no arpeggio there. A lot of people just say that's the block chord one, but there actually is an arpeggio. It's so obvious, just kind of hiding in plain sight there. Now, what I usually think about with this particular one is, I think of two things. One, I think of that play relax in the right hand. It's really important to be able to play and then relax the hand. So, find those strings, pluck, and then relax your hand. So you don't want to keep any tension from chord to chord. The other thing, and I mentioned this in a fairly recent video that I did, is you want to make sure that the thumb doesn't throw off the position of the fingers. So in this case, set up the fingers I and M so you get a nice free stroke follow through. So you don't want this to happen when the thumb goes down to the 5th string. You don't want to do that. Then you pull your fingers into really more of a rest stroke position. So that's that. Okay, so that's number 1. The next one, number 2, I'm not going to go through these in order. I'm going to jump around in a seemingly arbitrary way in a minute here, but hopefully you'll understand the method to my madness here. Number 2 is a little triplet arpeggio. Okay, so what to think about here? Obviously, the thumb position, not throwing off the fingers, is still there. That's really part of all of these. The other thing that's introduced in this little arpeggio here is this. I followed by M. And I want you to think of it like that. So I is going to go, and M is going to follow it. So it's not this. You don't want to do this. Some people, practice it like this. They play I, and then they relax it right away, and then they play M. Well, if you're going to play this at a faster, you're not going to have time, and that's not really the way the hand wants to work either. So you're going to pluck P, then I is going to go, M is going to follow it, and then you're going to relax them both at the same time when the thumb plucks. It's the way the hand naturally wants to move. Now, number 3, and I am doing the C major, G7 thing here. Honestly, when I practice these at home, I often just do them open string. But just for those of you who are paying close attention to that left hand at home, I'll go ahead and play those here. But it's not a big deal, especially if you're spending a lot of time on these. At some point you're really not getting any much benefit out of doing the left hand chords. You're probably just wearing your hand out. So what's the point? So just play open string. Okay, so number 3. So I'm not doing the chord change there, but here M goes first, and then I follows it, and then when thumb plucks again, you relax I and M. Okay, so you get this idea there. So you don't want to relax M before I plucks. Let M go, and then I will follow it, and then they both relax together when P plucks. Okay, so now I'm going to seemingly, for no apparent reason, jump to number 89. And it's not that we've progressed so fast. It's that the way Giuliani numbers them is a little bit, random. And by the way, this is a chance for me to mention the book Pumping Nylon by Scott Tennant, where he actually takes the 120 Giuliani arpeggios, and he doesn't change the numbering, but he changes the order of them, and that's to sort of compensate for the arbitrary nature of Giuliani's choices here. So this same sort of thing here. So here's number 89. You've got to do the chord change. Okay, so this is kind of like number 2, the IM, except that we bring IM and A in. So this time, thumb plucks, I goes, M follows that, A follows that. So you end up with a hand that looks like that, and then relax. And then as you do that a little bit faster, you'll find that that's the motion that really makes this work. I'm working now on another addition to the first volume of Classical Guitar Complete, and one of the things that we did for that was put in a whole bunch of new photos, and one of them is on this very subject. And it's kind of interesting, when we were shooting the step-by-step here for a PIMA arpeggio, at first we were thinking, take a picture there, take a picture there, take a picture there, take a picture there, take a picture there. But instead, we just played a fast arpeggio, and the photographer shot at 10 frames a second, and the first 4 frames were just like that. It saved us a whole bunch of time, but it also kind of proved when you do this at a faster tempo, you are doing exactly this. Thumb goes, I goes, it pulls M pulls A, and then everybody relaxes when the thumb plays. Some people call it the sympathetic motion. So the fingers are following each other. Okay? We're going to talk about something called opposing motion in just a minute. But let's do the opposite now of the P-I-M-A. We're going to do a P-A-M-I. And with the right hand here. So, here, this is number 88. So we've gone back one from 89. So we've gotten worse if we're going through number-wise. 88 is actually harder than 89 for some people, because that A-M-I can be more difficult for some. I'm a firm believer in the fact that quite a few people are good at I-M-A, and then you have the AMI crowd, and what you want to be is good at both of those. But I usually find, at least with my students and with myself as well, I'm more of an IMAer, that they generally tend to favor one or the other. I say practice the one you're not as good at. So here, P-A-M-I, here, thumb plucks, A plucks, M follows, I follows that, relax on P. basic idea there. By the way, it's kind of the same idea if you're doing a tremolo, just everything's on one string. Maybe I'll do that in a future video. Okay, so everything we've talked about so far has to do with fingers following each other. So P-I-M, P-M-I, P-I-M-A, P-A-M-I. But if we jump now to number 81, so here's where we talk about opposing motion for the first time. So here, thumb plucks, then I, A, or M rather, and back to I. So we have to do this motion here. So that's different than that motion where one finger follows the other. Here, one is going in one direction and the other is going in the other direction at the same time. Because that's the first part of it. So there's that. Now, the way this finishes is I finishes by following M. So if I break this down really slowly, P, I, bring I out when M goes. That's the opposing motion, and then I joins M. So we end with that following. That's the idea there. So we've got arpeggio patterns where fingers follow each other, and then we have arpeggio patterns where fingers sometimes have to move in opposite motion. By the way, that's a really useful motion, obviously for scales and things like that as well. So getting that IM opposing motion, same idea there. It'd be the same whether you're doing free stroke or rest stroke. Okay, now the last one I'm going to talk about here is number 9. So we're really numerically jumping all over the place, aren't we? So number 9 starts with a PIMA and then ends with an AMI. So we turn around on that A finger on top. So it's P, I, M, M follows I. And then when A plucks, you have to bring M and I out. Like that. And then now M follows A, I follows M, relax everything with the thumb. Okay? So that is a nice little sort of place to start with the Giuliani right hand studies. You have to really break them down. You have to analyze them. I call it mapping out the hand. So you've got to really map these things out here, and practice them with these concepts in mind. And don't just play through them. I know some people out there. I won't name names, but they say I practice all 120 every single day. I don't see how that's possible unless you're just really just burning through all 120. In which case, I kind of have to wonder what the value of that is. To really just focus on a handful of them each day, I think is a much better strategy. And then to know exactly what it is you're practicing with each one. What is every finger doing at every given moment, rather than just sort of randomly playing through stuff and hoping for the best. Okay, so I hope you got something out of this, and I will see you soon.